So I'm being called to share how grief, anger, and fear has affected me. So whenever I make these type of videos, I have a habit of writing out, not exactly word for word what I want to say, but just basically like bullet points, because I'm very forgetful and I always forget something that I want to say, and I tend to stutter a lot if I don't have some sort of thing out in front of me telling me what to say. Or going back to whenever I was writing this, my throat chakra started closing up quite a bit. So there's something that's really important about me sharing this. So with anger, anger is like a secondary emotion. I've never felt anger just by itself. Usually it's anger because I'm frustrated, or sometimes anger will come up with sadness. And I mean, maybe you've had different experiences, but it's always with another emotion. And for me, usually when anger pops up, like the strongest, it has a lot to do with, or had a lot to do with, self-esteem. So with those self-esteem issues, I would work through whatever the deep-rooted problem was, and then that anger would go away. Fear was probably the worst thing I needed to work through, because it was more like avoidance. It wasn't so much I would allow myself to feel that fear. I would just do whatever I could to avoid it, which is why I'm so passionate about, facing your fears and working through it. Then that way, because that I know how much that has affected me. So grief is usually tied to like death of a family member or a pet or a friend, but it can also be connected to other things, like just losing something that majorly affected you, like losing a job, or even, going through a divorce. So losing someone that died, then that's pretty traumatic, and that can cause major grief. But I don't think that that's what they want me to talk about. They want me to talk about the grief that comes with, like, cutting off a family member. For me, it's cutting off a parent that's still alive. I won't go into the details of how that happened, because that's my business, and I don't want to put everything on the internet. But I think that, like, my point in making this is, maybe you feel sad that you cut off this parent, like you made this choice that you're confident in, but you feel weird for feeling sad about it. I feel fully confident in my decision, and I remember all the things that led up to me making this decision, but that doesn't make this any less sad. It still, sucks to have to go through. That also doesn't mean you just get over it. Losing a parent, no matter how you lose them, is difficult. And I think the same thing with grief. When someone passes away, you get the same grief where it just kind of like comes in waves. Like sometimes, this person that you really cared about died 20 years ago, and something still reminds you of them, and you just get hit with this wave of sadness, and then you go about your day. So I've experienced the same exact thing when it comes to cutting off a parent, is what I mean. But I think they're calling me to make this video because I'm not the only one who needs to know that it's okay to be sad over cutting off a parent, and it's normal to feel sad about it.